All right, let's talk about Google's brand new model, Gemini 3.1 Pro. And look, if you're feeling that AI update fatigue, I am right there with you. It feels like every single week there's a new most powerful model in the world, right? So what we're going to do today is cut through all that noise and figure out, is this the update that actually matters? And this pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? It's like this AI merry-go-round. You've probably seen the meme. The crown for world's best model just gets passed around in a circle. OpenAI, then Grok, then Gemini, then Anthropic, and back again. Right now, we're on Gemini's turn. And you start to wonder, is just chasing a slightly better score on a benchmark really the whole story here? So that's the big question we're tackling. Is Gemini 3.1 Pro just another lap, or is something different happening here? Is it actually changing the race itself? Let's get into it because, trust me, the answer is a lot more interesting than you might expect. Okay, first things first. Let's look at the case for why Gemini 3.1 Pro might just be the new king of the hill. And you know, when you first look at the numbers, they are, wow, seriously impressive. What's wild here isn't just that it got better, it's how much better. Just look at this. The ARC AGI2 benchmark, this is a really tough test. It's all about complex reasoning, solving problems it's never seen before. The last version, Gemini 3 Pro, scored a decent 31.1%. The new one, a jaw-dropping 77.1%. I mean, it didn't just inch forward, it literally vaulted over its old self and major competitors like Claude Opus. A jump like that, that's what makes the entire industry turn its head. And it's not a one-trick pony either. We're seeing this across the board. It's snagging the #1 spot or a very close #2 on a whole bunch of important tests. It set a new high score on GPQA Diamond for scientific knowledge. It's ahead of Opus on Terminal Bench. And on the SWE-bench coding test, it's nipping at its heels, just a tiny fraction behind. So the bottom line is, on paper, this thing is an absolute beast. And Google is leaning into this hard. They're basically saying, hey, this one's for the pros, the heavy hitters, the scientists, the engineers. One of their VPs even called it a significant leap for those really complex, nitty-gritty jobs. The message they're sending is crystal clear. This isn't just a small step up, it's a whole new class of powerhouse. But we all know benchmarks on a chart aren't everything, right? So let's dig a little deeper and see how all this power actually stacks up in the real world. And this is where the story gets a little more complicated, because you have to ask, is it really the best at everything? Well, the answer seems to be maybe not. So check this out. There's this test called GDP Eval, and it's all about real-world agentic tasks. Basically, how well can the AI act like a real assistant and get complex, multi-step jobs done on its own? And this is where we see a crack in the armor. Even with a big improvement, Gemini 3.1 Pro is still playing catch-up to models from Anthropic and OpenAI. It kind of suggests there's a gap between its raw intelligence and how useful it is for some of these really practical tasks. And that performance difference might just explain what we're seeing here. A survey asked people what their main go-to AI model is. And look, Gemini is in a distinct third place. Only about 16% of people say it's their #1 choice, trailing way behind ChatGPT and Claude. It's the perfect example of how being #1 on a benchmark doesn't mean you're #1 in people's day-to-day lives. So if it's not just about being the strongest, then what is the real story with Gemini 3.1 Pro? Well, that's where we get to the really interesting stuff. It boils down to two things that might matter way more: cost and creativity. This quote from an analyst, Akash Gupta, just hits the nail on the head. He's basically saying that leadership on these benchmarks only lasts for a few weeks now. All the top models are getting so good, so fast, that they're all kind of bunched up at the top. So the real battle, it's not about who's the absolute strongest anymore. It's about who can make all that power cheap, easy to get, and just everywhere. And this number, this is where you can see Google playing a totally different game. Remember that amazing 77.1% score on that super tough benchmark we talked about? Well, Gemini 3.1 Pro did that for less than $1 a task. Think about that. This isn't just about performance anymore, it's about economics. They're delivering elite-level intelligence at a bargain basement price. Let's just break this down because it's so important. Step 1, the performance on that benchmark more than doubles, from 31% to 77%. Step 2, the price stays exactly the same as the old, weaker version. So what's the result? You're getting double the smarts for zero extra cost. That's the new strategy right there. Compete on value, and wow, is that a powerful move. But the crazy low cost is only half the picture. The other real game changer here, the thing that sets Gemini apart, is its multimodal X-Factor. We're talking about its ability to understand and create way more than just text. We're talking images, code, even animations. I mean, just look at this stuff. Google released a tool called Photoshoot that lets you create these amazing product shots from a single picture. The announcement video for that tool got 12 million views. The announcement for the super powerful model itself, only 1 million. That tells you what people get excited about. Then there's this thing called Replit animation that can literally vibe code an animated video from a simple text prompt. These aren't just nerdy features, they're making AI into real products that are easy to use and go viral. And this creative stuff isn't just for making pretty pictures for marketing. No way. We are seeing Gemini do incredibly complex, technical engineering work. I'm talking about designing a car suspension system, building a full-on city planner app that simulates traffic, even doing a heat transfer analysis right from a CAD file. This is where Gemini is flexing muscles that, frankly, other models just don't seem to have. All right, so let's bring it all home. What does this all mean? With Gemini 3.1 Pro out in the wild, what's the new state of the AI race? Here's the big takeaway. The race isn't just about having the highest score on a benchmark anymore. It's over. Gemini 3.1 Pro shows us that the real battle is now fought on 3 fronts. It's about cost, it's about distribution, getting it everywhere, and it's about having unique skills that your rivals just can't copy. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. As all these top models start to get pretty close in terms of raw brain power, who really wins? Is the future won by the absolute strongest model, or by the one that's the most accessible, the one that's cheap, useful, and baked into everything we already use every day? That's the new race we're watching, and with this release, Google just made a really, really interesting move.